The Still Loading podcast is brought to you by the wonderful people on Patreon. Amazing people like Charles M., Eric H. Gilmer, Mr. Biscuits, Stephen P., and Kevin from the Bit by Bit Foundation have been wonderful enough to support the show over there. So if you would also like to get your name read at the beginning of an episode, along with a bunch of other goodies, go over to patreon.com/stillloadingpod and check out everything it has to offer. On this episode of Still Loading...
If Toad doesn't get us out of here soon, I'm gonna eat this mattress! Bombs away!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the Still Loading podcast. I'm your host, Josh Koval, and today's episode is a look at the Super Mario Bros. Super Show Episode 3. The title of this episode, there's two titles, one for the live-action segment and the other for the animated segment. The live-action segment is called All Steamed Up, and the animated segment is Butch Mario and the Luigi Kid. And joining me, my co-host with the mo-host, Dexter Morrill. Dex, how are you doing today?
Hey, everybody. I'm doing awesome. Hey, Paisanos. I think is what I should
Paisanos. Oh, my God. I'm excited about this one, man. What are your just preliminary thoughts, real quick? I think this is my favorite one out of the three we've covered so far. But preliminary thoughts from you. What are your thoughts, just kind of off the top of your head?
I think this was a solid episode. I would not be ashamed of any random person walking in on me watching this particular episode. Nothing outrageous. I did find myself giggling at a lot of the kind of the sight gags, and some of the little puns that they had in this episode were pretty solid too.
There's a lot of things to enjoy about this episode, for damn sure. This episode, I already said the titles, was written by Phil Harnage, released on September 6th, 1989. And Phil Harnage has not written an episode yet. I was trying to see. I have on his Wikipedia, it looks like I've apparently already looked into his Wikipedia page, but he so I was like, oh, maybe we already covered an episode that he wrote, but nope, this is his first writing credit on the show so far. So yeah, let's dive into it, man. Oh, you know what? And I'm going to ask you this, Dex. What are your thoughts on this? Should I read off all of Bowser's insults, Mario's food cravings, and Luigi's excuses? I feel like at the top of the episode, I feel like I'll wait for the Luigi's excuses when we get to them. But all the others, because they're kind of really nitty gritty and granular, I feel like I should read off at the top of the episode. What are your thoughts, though?
Yes, I do. I think we should set the mood with what our Koopa takedowns and Mario cravings are this episode. I think it's a good table setter, if you will.
Yeah. Let's start off with it then. There is actually one Mario food craving that I'm not going to read because it's so fucking funny to me that I'm going to wait for the moment we get to it in the episode. But Bowser's insults to Mario specifically, at least the ones that I found. If you have any others, Dex, feel free to chime in after I'm done with mine. Pipsqueak plumbers, pesky plumbers, drain drips, Budinsky buddies, Linguini lips. Sorry, there's two more still, but Drano brains and pipe squeaks.
Drano brains. Okay, I heard Drano. I listened to that part 2 or 3 times. I was like, I can't tell what he's saying. I thought it was Drano face, but Drano brains makes way more sense.
I think and the problem is that all the closed captioning on this is all done by basically AI. It's all automated, and it's not great. There's a lot of moments where, especially because I guess they're speaking in their Brooklyn accents or their attempt at Brooklyn accents, so sometimes the subtitles don't match up at all to what they're actually saying.
Yeah, just like the New Yorker broomstick that the witch had in one of those Captain N episodes. Like the captions for that episode were outrageous.
Apparently, they just can't handle the Brooklyn accent. Go figure. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Well, the episode begins. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I didn't list Mario's food cravings. He asked for free spaghetti to go. Then he also asked for pizza, and there's one in between there that I did not touch on yet. We'll get to. And then at the very end of the episode, he lists spaghetti, ravioli, macaroni, tortellini, muscacelli, linguine, and garlic ice cream.
Yeah, that was what a food to go out on too. That was like the last
Garlic.
joke.
Now, here's
Yeah.
the thing, though. He lists them all. I'm assuming that means 7 individual things, but the way he lists it as like and garlic ice cream, does that mean that spaghetti, ravioli, macaroni, tortellini, muscacelli, linguine are all ice cream flavors as well in his world?
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that. I assumed he was just
Want
going over like a
7 ice cream
seven
flavors?
course meal.
That makes more sense. I think that's what they intended, to be honest. But I kind of like the idea that in like the sad thing is it's not out of the realm of possibility that
Great. It goes great with
Mario would
pepperoni
ask for
cheesecake.
spaghetti flavored ice cream, ravioli flavored ice cream,
Yeah, you put that on the side of your pepperoni cheesecake that he had the craving for in the first episode.
or his mozzarella milkshake,
Yeah. Ugh.
ravioli smothered in honey. That was the other one from last month or 2 months ago. Oh my
Gosh.
god. All right. So the episode opens with Mario and Luigi in the live action segment. You know, I don't have my notes in here. Hold on. All steamed up, where they are fixing a steam-o-matic, which they don't ever really explain what it's supposed to do. Is it supposed to be one of those like weird workout machines where, you know, you kind of sit in and like get hot boxed by steam, you know what I mean? But your head like pops out the top. I
That's what
don't
I
know.
assumed just from watching too many Looney Tunes as a kid. I just assumed it was one of those exercise or like steam machines in a gym.
Mm-hmm. That's what I thought too, but I'm not entirely sure. But they're fixing it, and all of a sudden they get a phone call, and Mario goes, "Just put it on speakerphone." And Luigi's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like,
Pizza
"I
phone.
installed it the other day. Just hit the third pepperoni from the right."
Yes, because if those listeners do not recall, their phone is just like emerging from a pizza.
It's being birthed by the pizza.
Yeah, it's like a telephone pizza for some reason. And then there's that little there's a little box next to it that just it's just pizza like glued to it.
It's very clearly just like a speaker that they glued fake pizza to.
Yeah. I love this set. I know we've talked about it before, but this set is incredible.
Oh my god, dude! It like I don't know why I enjoyed this one specific element of it so much. So the guest spot for the live action segment is Sergeant Slaughter, the wrestler, and he's the one that wants Mario and Luigi to fix his steam-o-matic. And when he actually shows up in this intro, you could see him walking down the steps, and the steps, like, I don't think anyone was actually stepping on this. I think they just kind of have something pressing down from the top, but the steps are very spongy or like rubbery, and you can see like they give as someone's supposed to go down the steps and then walk through the door. I don't know what it is about that, but it really just makes me chuckle, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I definitely made note of that as well. And like the practical effects are so charming, and when they go the extra mile to show like his intense stepping down the stairs, which it's clearly just on a set and they just walk through the door, but to show his arrival by having like those little spongy steps squish down as his large body is descending is a really nice touch.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And when he calls, he's asking for the status of his steam-o-matic, and he's like, "I'm going to be there soon. I'm going to take a shortcut I'm on the Brooklyn Bridge, and I'm going to take a shortcut." And I love Mario. I put it down. He goes, "How can you take a shortcut off the Brooklyn Bridge? The guy's a goof." and they're like trying to whisper it, and he goes, "It's easy when you have a Sherman tank, bozo," which honestly would make it even more difficult because it's heavier. You're just going to
Yeah.
sink straight to the bottom if you drive straight off the Brooklyn Bridge.
And then they have all the sound effects of like crunching traffic and everything.
I guess his whole thing is that he's just going to run over cars. That's
Yeah,
that's the joke they're going for.
especially with his gag at the end about being double parked.
Yeah, and have like crushing the lady with I forget what kind of car it was, like a Chevy or something like that. I wrote it down actually. I wrote it down in the live action segment, like which type. Oh, it was a Chevy. I wrote it down. Yeah, he crushed some lady's Chevy. He's laughing that she was mad about it, but he since he is he portrays a military member. He's Sergeant Slaughter. He's dressed in like a drill instructor outfit type of thing. He's mad at Mario and Luigi for not like respecting him, and he's like, drop and give me 50 or whatever. And when he tells them to drop and give him 50, they just go, okay, Sarge. And then they just make the sound effects by touching their shoulders, like the Mario sound effects. I think that's like supposed to be a bit of a fourth wall break. Maybe. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, I always view it reminded me a lot of the second Ninja Turtles live action movie in the 90s of when they have to do backflips for Splinter,
Mm-hmm.
and they look over and you see Michelangelo's just kind of doing little easy jumping jacks and making it sound like he's doing the backflips.
But like they're making those sound like the Mario sound effects just by touching shoulders. Like I don't know, it was kind of weird. Like I understand that's what they were going for, but having it by like at least in TMNT, they're doing like they'll hop and clap so that way it seems like the sound, like when you're not seeing them, it's the same sound effects as if they were doing backflips type of thing, you know.
That's true. Yeah.
So then Sergeant Slaughter does come in, and he's like, he comes in and he goes, as you were. And Luigi, like Mario, right before Sergeant Slaughter comes in, he's like, well, I better make sure the Steam-O-Matic actually works. So he goes in, and then he's just in there for literally the rest of the live action segment. Literally, you never see Captain Lou Albano in the rest of this episode after he crawls in there. And we'll explain why when we get to the second half of the live action segment. But I love that Sergeant Slaughter comes in and goes, as you were. And Luigi's like, as I was just pulling a pizza out of the oven. Did you see a fucking oven, Dex? Do you see an oven anywhere on this set? At best, this is like a toaster oven. At best.
Yes, the oven is either something plumbing related or something pasta related, I imagine. My oven's made out of lasagna.
If
cooking
only.
a pizza inside the lasagna oven.
But like I'm looking over there, it's like the size of a microwave. There's a black box, and to the left of it is like a sink. And he keeps leaning over towards there. And I think actually at the second live action segment, he brings out the pizza, and we'll list the ingredients for that pizza when we get to it. That's another discussion point. But I don't know. When I was watching, I'm like, there's no fucking oven here. There's not like what do you mean you're pulling it out of the oven? Also, super random. You can kind of see it at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. You can see it better at 2 minutes and 16 or 17 seconds. One of the props in the back. So like, remember how we noticed before the bathtub filled with like produce and that creepy ass scarecrow and everything?
Yeah.
To the left of it, there's like almost like a bird box, like a giant birdhouse with a puppet trapped in jail.
Yeah, I saw that too.
What I don't understand the production design of this show, but I kind of don't care. It's so bizarre and goofy. I kind of love it.
Yeah, I'm sure they had extra stuff on set from other things, and they're like, "Can we put this here? Yeah, do it." Does it make sense? Who cares?
Just throw a bunch of shit at the wall. Literally, just throw a bunch of shit at the wall, and we'll see what sticks. And that was the Mario set. Sergeant Slaughter does turn on his machine, and then it starts rumbling, and he goes, what's that sound? And Luigi goes, well, if you come up here, you won't be able, it's not nearly as loud, so come on up. And then it cuts to the live action segment. Is there anything that I missed, Dex, that you want to touch on before we get, or not, sorry, not the live action, the animated segment. Is there anything I missed, Dex, before we move on to the animated segment?
I don't think so. I think that just about covers it. Like, as soon as I saw the Steam-O-Matic, I was like, somebody's getting shrunk because
Yep.
that's what happened. People get the reverse Steve Rogers Captain America whenever they go into one of those things in cartoons. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so as
I
soon as
mean, this
Mario
is
went in,
pretty much just a live action cartoon as well.
absolutely, yeah. And so yeah, I think we just about covered it. Yeah, Sergeant Slaughter's like, I don't like that thumping sound, like you said, and Luigi's like, well, if you come over here, you don't hear it as much.
Which is not a solution.
No,
Like if something's thumping, you're basically doing the whole like ostrich head in the sand routine type of thing.
yeah, that's
Like
the
it's
kind of
not.
thing I do if like if my car is like breaking down and I don't want to go to the go to the shop. That's something I'll say to my wife. No, it's all right if you just don't think about it, it won't be a problem anymore. Like that's not a solution.
I mean, that's my way of thinking about it. I like it,
Yeah.
Dex. I like your thought process. But now we move over to the animated segment, which is called Butch Mario and the Luigi Kid, and it opens with Mario talking about I think it's Plumber's Log 10761 or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
1061.
and King Koopa has taken Princess Stode Tool. Oh my God, Toadstool. Stode Tool is awful sounding. I don't even know what
Yeah.
that
It's like
means.
that's like the Wario version of Princess Toadstool.
Yeah, right. Um, so it's he takes Princess Toadstool to the Old West, to the Wild West, and they come across. There's so much to say, even in this beginning couple of seconds, Dex. Like, do you want to talk? Okay, there's two things that come to mind. So they're exploring through the desert, and they come across this cactus with a wanted poster on it. What's some of the first couple things that you noticed about the scene? It doesn't have to be in proper order, but what are some things you noticed about this scene?
First thing was I liked the kind of the Wild West version of the Mario theme that was playing,
Hmm.
like the instrumentation. I thought was a nice little touch. But I did, if you're referring to what I'm thinking of, I did have to jump back like 10 seconds a couple times on this part because I was like, wait, the conversation confused me because the first thing, like you said, that they see is on a cactus, which when they show it up close, you could tell it's a pokey villain with his eyes closed. But
He has a
they,
cowboy hat on.
yeah, he's got the cowboy hat on. They don't say anything about like this cactus has a cowboy hat. They're like, oh, this. But this is the part that confused me. Is they're like, oh, wanted poster. Yeah, we don't want to be here. There's people. There's dangerous people here. And then Toad's like, that's you guys. And I was like, they didn't notice that when they looked at it up close, when they were like, oh, wanted poster. Like it's
I mean,
clearly
I just equated to
Mario
they
and
weren't
Luigi.
paying enough attention right away.
Yeah. And then they go back and look at the reward. And that's when the Pokey's like, what? How much? I'm coming after you.
Hmm. Well, there's a couple things that I noticed with this. One, it was the cowboy hat on the cactus, the pokey. That made me laugh really hard. The other thing was the way Luigi says Mario's name. Mario. Hey, Mario. It's not Mario. It's Mari hyphen O. Like
I
he
didn't
has a
notice that.
pause
It's funny.
between Mari and O, and he says it a handful of times. He goes, "Hey, Mario, Mario." It was just very weird.
That is funny.
But their wanted poster is tacked onto a cactus in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like I don't know who thought they would like. Did they just think bounty hunters just wander the desert aimlessly? Like, well, I gotta find a wanted poster somewhere. It might as well be on a cactus out here.
Yeah, it's the only cactus around. Like they're in a sandstorm. There's just this random cactus. My thing is Pokey was probably in the town and got the poster stuck to him and then went wandering. I don't know.
He didn't realize it for like miles. Oh, there is a
And
poster on me.
yeah, right. Oh, that's interesting. I'm sending you a screenshot of Mario's reaction to when the Pokey wakes up and is like, "I'm gonna get
I
you."
I I know what you're talking about.
Mario strikes this strange. It's the perspective that's off, I think, but it reminds me a lot of like a Sonic the Hedgehog pose, for some reason.
Hmm.
Like what you'd see
I
on like
could
a
definitely
cover of a
see that.
game. But yeah, he strikes this like strange, fierce pose with like holding out the plunger in his hand. Um, for when the pokey is like, "I'm gonna take you in."
And then he just hurls it into his face, hurls it
Yeah,
into the cactus's face, and he can't get it off.
as you do.
So then it cuts to, you see where Bowser is holding Peach, or Toadstool, excuse me, and he wants her to surrender, and she's like, "No, I'm not going to surrender." I'm like, "You don't really have the leverage here, lady." Like, and on Bowser's end, why does he give a shit if she's surrendering or not? She's captured. It doesn't matter. Like, what do you mean you have to, she needs to surrender? Just fucking do your plan. It doesn't matter whether or not she's quote unquote surrendered or not.
Yeah, the other thing that made me kind of chuckle was like she's already down in this pit and he raises her up. And I thought that was weird. Like you'd think he would have this conversation with her first and then crank her down into the pit.
Mm.
But like he raises her up to have this conversation with her. And I was like, this is actually kind of like, oh man, when he's like, here's your breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the next 3 weeks or whatever, and it's like 3 beans, and then he laughs.
Hmm.
He's like, "Starve well, princess," and I was like, that's actually pretty dire for a kids
Starve
cartoon.
well, my pretty princess. He even
Oh,
says it a little bit
excuse
more
me.
sinister.
At least he gave her a compliment.
I guess so. Uh, and then it cuts back to Mario and Luigi walking up a hill, and Luigi's like, "Oh, or sorry, no." Toad goes, "Oh, if I get when I get my hands on Koopa, I'll fix his wagon." And Luigi goes, "What's wrong with his wagon?
Luigi has the best comments.
What's
He,
wrong with his wagon?"
yeah,
Uh, and they run into then Sheriff Mauser and his Shy Guy army, who are riding bunch of ostriches, excuse me. And I love how they try to keep Mauser's German accent while saying like Western, like tropey lines and stuff like that.
yeah. I feel like
Varmint. I can't do
I
it.
can't blame the voice actor, but I feel like they lose the accent a few times during their performance in this
Well, you
episode.
know who did the voice of Mauser on this?
Not our buddy. Uh,
John Stalker,
oh,
voice of
no
Toad.
kidding. That's
Um,
awesome.
which at the time we're recording this, it's a little teaser for sometime coming up. It has not been recorded yet, but it is. I'm pretty certain it's going to be recorded. Uh, I have an interview with John Stalker coming up very soon.
That's so exciting.
It's going to be on the show somewhat soon, so I'm excited for everyone to hear it once it inevitably uh, comes out. But yeah, I have an interview with him tomorrow, so hopefully that's going to turn out well. Anyway, so the Luigi and Mario, the Mario and his gang escape from from Mauser. Basically, do they even do anything? I think they just, oh, sorry. Here's one of Luigi's excuses is in this scene. It's I put it as half an excuse. So you know how we have the whole thing, last episode he goes like, I can't, I'm having a baby. Or I can't, I'm allergic to mountains. He kind of has both of his excuse lines sort of in this one scene. So um Mauser calls them despicable felons, but he goes felons because he's like German. And
Right.
Luigi goes, felons? Yo, I never fell on nobody.
Yeah, I wrote that one down. I love Luigi.
It's not quite an excuse, but I think that's one of like the best Luigi lines, just period, in the
Yeah,
whole show.
it's so bad, it's good. Fell on. I
It
never
is.
fell on nobody.
And they're under arrest, but Mario, Luigi, and Toad make a break for it, and then Mauser sends his Shy Guys riding ostriches that just look, the ostriches look stoned as fuck. Like, did you see the shot of them panning across? It's like, let's see,
Yeah.
it's
Except for
at
the first one. The first one was the only normal one because the first Ostro is the only one that like pulls like a Jim Halpert from The Office and kind of like looks around like, oh.
mm-hmm.
The rest of them are very like stoic.
It happens at like 6 minutes and 48 seconds is when the pan starts, and they're all just like not doing anything. But they chase after them, kind of running around like these cliffside trails. And this is where we get the second of the Luigi lines of his excuses. Well, this is a genuine excuse, not just a funny line. They come to a cliff edge, and there's a river below them, right at the edge of a waterfall, and there's a bunch of logs that are going like floating down the river and then falling down the waterfall. And Mario says, "Come on, we'll just play leapfrog." And Toad goes, "I can't." Or no, Luigi goes, "You look." Or no, "You leap. I'll look." And that's, I think, the closest to his excuses. Did you hear any other excuses in the episode?
No, that was the only other one I could think of. Other than that, he does like a very Porky Pig type joke a couple times in the episode, where he keeps trying to say the same thing, but he keeps saying
Oh
it
yeah,
wrong, and
he
then
happened.
he changes what he's actually saying.
He's trying to say, like, when they first get to this spot, he's trying to say dead end. But
Yeah,
I actually wrote down. He goes, "Oh, no, 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 we've come to an end dead. No, a dead ed. We're trapped."
yeah,
and
yes,
I was trying to figure out what he was doing. I'm like, end dead? Why do you keep saying end dead?
yeah.
It was very confusing. And then I'm like, oh, dead end. I see what he's. It's a poorly executed Porky Pig bit, like you said, but it's still kind of amusing. And Toad, no, sorry, Mario says we're going to play leapfrog, and Toad's like, I leapfrog. I'm not a frog. I can't jump. He's like, all right, we'll play leap mushroom.
Yeah, just because he's a mushroom instead of a frog.
Get it? It's a great pun.
Because everybody knows about jumping mushrooms.
Everyone, I've played a leap mushroom
they,
every now and again
they jump
back in
just
my
like
day.
frogs, you know.
Mauser sends the Shy Guys in, and they immediately drown. Like they jump onto a log, don't jump again, and they fall down. And I kind of love Mauser's like crying face at when he sees all the Shy Guys go over the waterfall.
Yeah, I was actually the Luigi crossing the logs was actually pretty stressful. Like, obviously, I know he's gonna
Yes.
make it; he's the hero, but they did a good job with like timing the animation and having him like right over the edge of the waterfall and like making his way across.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mauser then promises Bowser, not Koopa, excuse me, that he's going to get every bounty hunter in the territory or state or whatever on them. And basically the way he does that is by raising the bounty from 10,000 like gold pieces, not coins. You would think it'd be coins if it was Mario, but not coins, gold pieces, up to 30,000. And Toad even makes another little joke like 30,000. I'd even consider like canning you, or oh my gosh, turning you in for that. And it's on another cactus. Like, all these wanted posters just appear on cactuses, but this one is not a living cactus. It is there's a bird, there's an evil looking bird on top, and it flies away, so you know it's going to do something. And then Dex, I want to kind of throw it over to you for this one. They see Princess Peach signaling for help. How does she signal them for help?
She uses smoke signals. How she has access to fire, I'm not quite sure.
Never explained.
But yeah, they don't go back to that. But they do have. I guess they've got to fulfill the Western trope of communicating via smoke signals. But instead of being, traditional smoke signals where it's, almost like a braille or a Morse code kind of thing. Nope. She's actually spelling words in the smoke.
Full words, and
But
then
I actually
full
laughed
like line drawings.
yeah, I actually laughed when help came out and and Luigi goes, help who? And then, and then the next word that comes up is me. Oh,
Who's
me.
me?
Who's me? And then it's like a very vague outline drawing of Toadstool. And they're like, there's the princess. I like piecing that together so slowly was actually pretty humorous. Like, help who? Like, I thought that was actually a good joke.
Luigi, there's actually a genuinely good amount of jokes in this episode. I was really pleasant. Like, between the smoke signal thing, between all of Luigi's like confusion over wordplay, like fix his wagon, what's wrong with his wagon? Like, all stuff like that. I find it it wouldn't be funny in other contexts, but in this, it just kind of works because they don't make those kinds of jokes in it with any other character but Luigi. So they try to go into the mine where Toadstool is at.
Well,
Mauser
real
stops
quick,
them and throws a bomb at them, and it blows up a giant boulder that chases them down around from the mine. Sorry, were you going to say something, Dex?
yeah, I was gonna say, well, something our listeners don't know, because I had to jump back. I was like, did I miss something? Um, During the commercial break of them crossing the waterfall, and everything, they're now riding Ostros.
Yes.
So I was like, wait, did I skip ahead or something? And I went back. I was like, nope, they must have gotten Ostros during the commercial break, which I
Oh,
realized later in the episode, Mauser says, "Stop those horse thieves." I can't do the German accent, but
yeah.
I was like, okay, so were those the Ostros that belonged to the Sniffets, the Shy Guys, um, that fell down the waterfall? If so, how did the Ostros get to the other side of the waterfall? Like, I was trying to figure out how they were riding these Ostros, and like, no, there was no explanation or anything. So I thought that I had missed something, but nope. I guess they stole them somehow from across the waterfall. But I just wanted to point that out because they ride the Ostros away from the boulder. And but,
Oh my God. I went back to it now. You're right. I can't believe I didn't notice that. You're right. They're suddenly riding these Astros. I had no idea. No explanation is given, nor needed, I guess. Um, well, when Mauser does corner them, though, I love how the dude who tries to turn them in is trying to get his reward money, and Mauser's like, "Not now. Do you think I carry that much cash on me? You'll get it later." Like the
yeah.
bickering was just so unnecessary, but it was like I think it was so amusing. And that's when Mauser lights a bomb, throws it at them. It causes a boulder to fly up in the air and chase after Mario, Luigi, and Toad, riding down this like hill on the Ostros, and they're riding into town. And they get into town, and the only reason they're like, okay, we better get out of the way from this boulder is Mario sees a sign suddenly for free Italian food.
Yes, I'm glad that they addressed that, because I actually put in my notes, like, as they're running away from the boulder, I was like, they've had plenty of time to sidestep the boulder at this point. Because at first, when they are still on the mountain, like, I understand, like, they've got to follow the trail. It's kind of like the boulders from Mario 64, actually, where like you have a limited amount of real estate to kind of go one way or the other to avoid the boulder. But once they get to the bottom of the mountain, they can just like dive one way or the other to avoid it. But they
Yep.
just keep running in the same path until they see the free the free spaghetti.
Well, and I'm at the freeze frame for that sign. It's at 10 minutes and 43 seconds. I can't tell what the sign it's covering up is supposed to say. I think it's meant to say sheriff because that's where Bowser was hiding out earlier, right? But it has SHPAT, and it looks like two E's. Spady? What is that? What are they trying to put there? Did they not even bother? Like I don't understand what the word is supposed to be.
My the footage on mine is so bad. I have no idea. The boulder changes scale throughout the scene too. It's like sometimes it's as big as them, sometimes it's like three times their size.
Well, the boulder then runs through the town, and
Spady.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I
It's at
don't.
11 minutes and 1 second for me.
Oh, really? Oh, you might have like a longer. Like okay. Yeah, mine's a little bit sooner. I'm on the
Spaghetti.
MarioBros.net YouTube channel. You might be on a different channel.
I'm on the wild brain.
There you go. That would do it. Um, So they go inside, and the boulder then goes past them, bowls over a bunch of those cactus guys again, and treats him like bowling pin. I love though the freeze frame of it. I don't know what minute it is for you, but for me, when you see like they get out of the way, the boulder continues on, and then oh shoot, it's like a little bit before that. They see all the cactuses, and it's gonna drive me nuts. I can't. I'm trying to find the actual like freeze frame for it. Okay. 10 minutes and 39 seconds. You could see all the cactuses holding a snake in their right hand.
And the wanted posters in their left hands.
Those all the bounty hunters in this world are just cactuses with cowboy hats.
Yeah, as if they need paperwork proof, like to.
We're
they all
here to
have black
arrest you,
hats.
Mario.
Yeah.
Well, they do end up getting captured, and Bowser basically says this is where he calls him his Budinsky buddies, and he like squeezes the key in front of them and squishes it like a squash.
I made note of that too. When, like most cartoons, they like swallow the key, they throw the key out a window, they do something, like something to the key to be like, and you're never escaping. He pops his like a water balloon. Like, I just thought that was funny. But yeah, I guess squash would be a better, because it's like orange. Would it?
Yeah. Really goofy, but really, really funny. And then begins their plan to how to get out. And Dexter, I wrote down their entire plan and how it comes to fruition.
Yes, and hopefully nobody finds that written down anywhere. They're going to be like, he was insane. Like Josh was insane.
This is how they get out. It is insane. This plan is bonkers. They pretend to be thirsty. That's step one. Pretend to be thirsty. Oh, I'm so thirsty. Oh. And then Mauser comes in. It's like, who's whining about being thirsty? And he comes in with his snake gun in his left hand and a glass of water in his right. And he goes, who's thirsty? And Mario and Luigi point to each other. Toad is sitting on a bed. And Mauser goes, tough tortellini, and then drinks the water in front of them.
And how do you react when someone drinks water in front of you when you're thirsty? You play
very
patty cake
too. He's like the sounds he's making. It's like glug, glug, like really.
The only reaction, the only natural reaction when someone does that to you though is to play patty cake pasta man, right?
That is right. He says tough tortellini, so then Mario and Luigi goes patty cake, pasta man, and then he goes. Then they just yell pasta power, and they shove Mauser's hat off. They don't like if you had the upper hand on him like that, you could have just grabbed his snake gun. You could have done a number of things. You outnumber him 3-1 for Christ's sakes. But no, you just push his hat off, so that way Toad can then climb inside the hat, the 10-gallon hat, and Mauser, when he puts his hat back on, won't notice. Suddenly it's heavier than normal, and he will waltz out of the jail with Toad hiding underneath his hat. He will then go to a bar, and that's when Toad can sneak out of the cowboy hat, find some bombs, and blow up Mauser and blow up the jail. And that's how they escape.
Yes, totally makes sense. Definitely
the whole thing, I had to write it down because I'm like, what is this plan? There is like so many moments where you could have just gotten out without having to do all of this extra intricacy at all.
Yeah. I know. The other funny thing is they've once they get out, I'm trying to remember what the actual conversation was. I just wrote down what Mario said. I was so hungry, I was ready to eat the mattress.
That was the thing.
But I was
so Mario's cravings, the one I was going to leave out was that one right there. He goes, if Toad doesn't get back here soon, I'm going to eat this mattress.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, Mario, you've been in there for maybe an hour.
Well, here's the thing too. on that freeze frame, and my video, it happens at 13 minutes and 27 seconds. There's no mattress on there. It's just a wooden board. And so did he already eat it?
Yeah, I think he did.
What did he do? Where did the mattress go? And Luigi looks very concerned.
Yeah. Speaking of Luigi's face, I sent you a screenshot of them, Mario looking very concerned. They both have their hands up, like, don't shoot. Mario looks very concerned, and Luigi just has this like goofy smile on his face.
I love it.
It was a funny shot.
It is really, like, Mario's genuinely concerned, and Luigi's like just genuinely happy. Just a happy-go-lucky fella right there.
Yeah.
So they do get out after Mario threatens to eat a mattress. They ride the Astros back to the mine to go after Princess Toadstool. I keep saying Peach. They see that the wall that she is behind has been boarded up, and they find some bomb flowers, which is bomb plant. What is he called? The bomb plants. Though, according to YouTube's automated closed captioning, since they can't understand the Brooklyn accent, it's barn planks. We can use those barn planks to get inside. No, bomb plants. And then so Toad throws it. Luigi is not paying attention, and I like how they actually throw it. You bite off the stem, and that turns the fuse. That starts the fuse.
Yeah.
Luigi doesn't pay attention. It blows up in his face. Mario takes Luigi out so they can get some air because there's dust everywhere. And that's when they are confronted by King Koopa and his Koopalings. Dex, I'm going to throw it over to you. What happens after this? How do they defeat King Koopa? What happens in order for them to defeat King Koopa and leading up to it?
All right. I'm trying to. I'm going through it again. It happens so fast here. So when you talked about it blowing up in their face, I actually enjoyed Luigi's line here when Mario goes to check on him. He's like, "Are you okay, Luigi?" And Luigi's like, "I can't breathe in here. I'm a gondola."
I'm a gondola. Yep.
And Mario's like, "No, you mean I'm a goner. You're a god." Like, oh my. For some reason, like, that's what it takes Mario to realize that like something's wrong with Luigi. But I thought that was funny that like he's so Italian he has to say gondola instead of goner. Like, I thought that was funny. But they emerge from the mine, and like you said, Koopa. I can't just say emerge. Mario's carrying seemingly Luigi's lifeless body over his head until he sets him down and he's fine. But like, but it's going to be like a Koopa standoff here because they all have their snake pistols. Which those of you that remember Mario Brothers 2, the snakes that jump out of the tubes and shoot little pellets, that's what it's supposed to be like. And Koopa is basically there's a Cheep, I think that, or not Cheep, but that's the baby Cheep from the first episode, the little Birdo baby, pops out of the top of a pokey somehow and is cheeping, and Koopa's like, on the sixth Cheep, we're gonna have
fire.
our duel. Yeah, one of those things.
Did you notice what? Sorry, finish what you were saying.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, because Koopa cheats on this, right? But did you notice what, when Mario calls him out on it, did you notice what he calls his grandfather?
No.
So, so what happens, they're counting to 6. It's, 1 Cheep, 2 Cheep, 3 Cheep, so on and so forth. They get to the 5th one, and he pulls out his gun, and Mario goes, "Hey, you cheated." And Koopa goes, "Well, as I forget exactly how he phrases it, as my so and so once said," and then he has some like cheesy line. He says, "Meet and be merry" or something like that. Some dumb line. But the person that he's quoting is his grandfather, Poopala Koopa. Poopala Koopa.
Yes.
That's my great
Uh,
grandfather, Poopala Koopa.
that's
I
what I
thought it was
want my
Poopala
grandkids to call
Koopala, but
me.
it's what? Sorry,
That's what I want my grandkids to call me.
Poopala.
Poopala Koopa.
Poopala Koopa. That's how they'll remember me by years later. Poopala Koopa. They they retreat into the mine though. Not after Mario basically does a spray and pray with his like fireball snake.
Yeah, that
It
was
goes
great.
into the mine. They fall down, break because now the smoke is cleared. They fall on top of Princess Toadstool's cage, which then breaks it. Bowser's like, "Haha! I've defeated you because you're trapped down there." And luckily, all the pipes that are down at the bottom there are filled with water. So they are going to try to do something with the water to help get out. And this is where Luigi's second of his Porky Pork. Holy shit! I'm doing Porky Pig references.
A porky
Porky
pork.
Pig. Porky Pork. No, Porky Pig. He has another line flub. He goes, Mario asked him, "Are you ready to spring the water?" And he goes, "Waiting and rilling." Then he slaps himself. I mean, raiding and welling. Slaps himself again. Oh, just flush. And then
Yeah.
the water flies out. The bombs that Koopa and his minions are about to throw down all fly up with them, explode in the sky, and you see these beautiful fireworks. And Toadstool is happy that Mario has saved her and saved everyone. And she asks Mario, "Can I do anything for you?" And what does Mario ask in return, Dexter?
He said, just 7 things, and that's when he lists off the 7 course meal. Which when he said just 7 things, I was like, okay, what's this going to reference? And then he just names off the 7 different foods, including garlic
Yep.
ice cream, and I was like, why 7? Like why I didn't get the joke. I don't know if it's referencing something, but other than he loves his pasta.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why it was 7 different things either, but it cuts back to the live action segment after this, and it's Luigi taking out that awful pizza from the toaster from the basically a microwave. Let's be real, it's not even an oven. It's at best a microwave. And then it begins this little like military cadence, the "I don't know what I've been told," da, 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 da. And him and Sergeant Slaughter have a back and forth with that line. And Sergeant Slaughter asks, like, what is the pizza made out of? And did you write down what it's made out of?
No.
Anchovies, grapes, and cheese whiz.
All that could get to fit into that oven.
Oh man, that oven has to smell so bad after that.
Yeah.
Right? Just like, oh my god, that sounds awful.
Yes. It sounds like something the Ninja Turtles would like, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a very Ninja Turtles-esque pizza. So then he's wondering why the steam machine still isn't fixed. He forces Luigi to do like 500 push-ups or some shit like that, which is all done off camera during the Zelda previews. The Zelda previews, by the way, I looked it up. That's for episode 1 of the Zelda cartoon.
Nice.
So I found that kind of funny. That like this is episode 3 of the Mario Super Show, but it's episode 1 of Zelda apparently. And Sergeant Slaughter looks at the steam machines. Did you hear his joke about the steam machine by any chance?
No.
It's very rapid. He is looking at the steam machine and the gauges on it are like going up really high, like they're in the red because there's like a lot of pressure and whatnot. And he he goes, "It must be some kind of communist plot." And Luigi goes, "Why? It's in the red zone."
Yeah, I remember that now.
Oh my god, I couldn't believe they decided to do a communist joke like that. It's so ham-fisted in, and I kind of love it. But yeah, Luigi does 500 push-ups. Sergeant Slaughter is still mad about the thumping sound, and that's when Mario finally returns and bursts out of the steam machine. And Mario's not Captain Lou Albano anymore. He's very short all of a sudden.
Yes, he has been replaced with another actor who I actually did a little deep dive on for IMDb.
What did you find?
Because not only is Sergeant Slaughter the first guest star credit as soon as it goes to the credits, but Joseph Griffo is credited as Mini Mario for that last little gag there. Because of course he's like, I don't know, I've been in here so long, I got to do something about this because because the steam, very cartoon logic, shrunken down. But Joseph Griffo, who is now 72 years of age, um,
Oh,
still working as far as I know. His last credit was 2020, so maybe he's retired in the last 4 years. But um, his most recent high profile thing, the first season of The Mandalorian, he was an uncredited Jawa.
oh, wow.
He had an appearance in the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He had a small role in the movie Argo, the
Okay.
with Ben Affleck. I
Yeah,
don't know if
yeah.
you've seen that movie or know the plot of it, but he was, because they have a whole like fake Star Wars movie aspect to the plot where there's like this fake Star Wars movie being made. Joseph Griffo was one of the like droids for that fake movie. He also had an
Okay.
appearance in Little Nicky, the Adam Sandler movie. So he's had even more. I think it was something like 54 appearances, like credits for acting. Um, and the reason why I think Joseph ended up in this with Sergeant Slaughter is his very first credit was for a WWE performance. I
Oh,
think that might have
okay.
been the connection there. But yeah, I was interested, about the casting, especially that he's right there underneath Sergeant Slaughter, Joseph Griffo as Mini Mario, in the credits there. So I was like, let me see what old Joe Griffo's up to these days.
Old Joey Griff.
And still pretty prolific, so good for him.
That's awesome. Maybe I can find a way to contact him and get him on the show. That'd be kind of nuts. But yeah, and that's how the episode ends. Mario is just mad and he bursts out, and that's how the episode ends. And that's episode 3 of the Super Mario Super Show.
Yeah,
What a
it was a
ride!
good one. Hopefully you
I
came
like this
here.
one a lot.
Yeah, that no, this was a solid one. It was, there's always some of these episodes you might have hit a spot or two where, like, okay, what's going on? I'm a little bored. But this one, now that I think about it and kind of look back, it was all pretty consistent. I felt entertained the whole time. I didn't feel like it was dragging at any point. The humor was pretty solid. I found myself chuckling pretty consistently. Um, and even in the live action segments, even if there's stuff that maybe doesn't click with you, like we were talking about, the set in the background is just so good. Even if you're not
It's
listening to
so,
the script
yeah.
or the performances.
I love the live action segments so much. Like, unironically, I really enjoy them. Like, yeah, the acting is cheesy and the plots are nonsensical, but the production design of the set is just so silly and goofy. And it's weird. Like, I don't know why I like it so much. I just find it really charming. And I'm not like, I don't have nostalgia for the show. It's not like this is nostalgia talking and all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, I wish I could go back to a simpler time. Like, I don't know what it is about it. I really really dig it. But yeah, so that's episode 3 of the Super Mario Super Show. Dexter, as always, my friend, thank you for joining me. This was a ton of fun to break down this episode. I guess we kind of did our final thoughts. We both like this episode. So I guess as usual, my friend, where can the good people find you and what would you like to promote?
You can find me on most of those social media sites out there. You just can search for my name, Dexter Morrill, DexterMorrill. I'm on there every once in a while sharing some of my artwork. I also try to share, other people's artwork and, my students' artwork occasionally. I try to do that as well, since I am an art and design teacher. And I'm putting my own artwork out there, but I also like to share video game history stuff or preservation stuff. That's kind of part of the reason how we, Josh and I connected as well. But um, I love seeing, like prototypes getting saved and dumped and things like that. But or even animation with our friend of the show, Gabe Swar. I
Mm-hmm.
try to share some of his stuff as well. But yeah, you can find me on there if you want to chat about video games, cartoons, any of that fun stuff. But that's where you can find me.
All right. And as usual for myself, you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Twitch, all that good stuff at Still Loading Pod. You can also go over to YouTube at Still Loading Podcast. If you want to support the show, you can do so by giving it a 5-star rating or review on whichever podcasting app you use. It does help more people find the show, and I very much appreciate it. It pleases the algorithm gods, supposedly, so it's very helpful. If you want to, there's also a patreon.com/stillloadingpod. For $1 a month, you'll get all the episodes a little bit earlier with better audio quality, as well as access to patron voting rights, which if I'm looking at my schedule correctly, and I believe I am, I think next week is a patron poll episode, one that was for the last quarter. So yeah, if you would like to guide the direction of the show, you can also vote on some future games that I put up on the poll there. And next week's episode is on Astral Chain. So that's going to be the patron poll topic from this most recent quarter. So yeah, check that out. That's all at the $1 level. At the $3 level, you got everything I mentioned prior, plus patron shout outs like you heard at the beginning of this episode. For $4 a month, you get everything prior, plus access to 2 mini bonus episodes. And for $5 a month, you get all the other stuff, plus my monthly movie podcast, which changes names. Right now, it is Still Bonding. It's me and a bunch of friends bonding over 007, and it's we're getting close to the end. Actually, for this month's episode is Skyfall, so we're getting close to the end of all the Bond movies, and then after that will be Fast and Furious. So that's all over at patreon.com/stillloadingpod. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got for y'all. Thank you all so much for listening. Dexter, once again, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely.
And with all that said, listeners, oh wait, do we have a tag out for this one? Like Captain N is like, well, I'll think of you the next
do the
time we play
Mario.
video games. Oh my God, how I could forget. With all that said, listeners, do the Mario.